So, how about today I talk more about religion and about my own experiences with religion, with other people with religion, with spirituality too. It's something that I like to talk about a lot. It's just very relevant to everything. I mean, everything's relevant to everything, but you know what I mean. It's just to me, it's very relevant to everything, spirituality, and it's something that we need to make more relevant in the way where there has to be a baseline of spirituality, even for us to just treat each other properly and everything, and see ourselves as not like horrible people too, regardless of what we've done or whatever or what we do. But like, because how are we supposed to even, you know, well, anyway, forget it. But right for now, but not forget it, but you know what I mean. Mm, but like, uh, there's a few other, some interesting, well, to me anyway, interesting, um, experiences I had with like mystical stuff and with um like religion and with spirituality, like with organized religion, and then just with like spiritual experiences and spiritual discussions and whatever. And I guess I'm just trying to attract more discussions here about like spirituality because I'm just craving to talk about that with someone, and with a lot of people actually, not just with one or two people. Even my husband, we can never get enough of it. We're always talking about spirituality, but I mean, sometimes we need a break from like going over the same stuff that happened, to us spiritually. But like normally we just never get tired of it any like in any sort of serious way. Like it's always something that just it's something that we just enjoy talking about because mm, it's just something that like why would we not, so in our case anyway, but because of our own experiences that were positive in the end, whereas before we had kind of dubious experiences with religion where my husband was like scared to death by a church that was like all about like you're going to hell, you're a horrible person, inherently, and you're probably going to hell anyway, but you have to be perfect, otherwise you're definitely going to hell, kind of church that he was going to. His parents didn't even go to that church when he was a kid, but he went, because some neighbor had like, I don't know, some neighbor had like convinced him to come with him or something, and then he stopped going because like it was just too much. It was too depressing, and it was too horrible and scary for him. Like it scared the shit out of him, and it was like, isn't there anything else here? And he was having a few, mystical experiences himself. He was more in touch with that at that age than I was at that age. But like there was a few to continue my experiences with religion. There was like when I was 15 and 16 or like 14, whatever. There was a lady that took me to a few religious stuff that she went to, and that was from her church, and her like, and there was a youth group, and there was like a Sunday school, and she took us to like a potluck and stuff, and also to a church where there was a lecture and there was a lot of songs and stuff once. She was my math tutor, who she was really into math, really good at math, but she was also like religious, and that made me think, oh well, maybe there's something to this religious stuff, because I wasn't really a religious person, but I wanted so badly to believe, and I didn't really believe, mm, and then so like one day she took me and my mom came to like a church. It was a big church. Everybody was like in the pews and jumping up and down with the songs and dancing and singing and everything. And everybody was just kind of. My mom said it was kind of cultish in her opinion. But like I just was like not like really like getting that into it, but I was into it enough where I paid attention to the like the sermon where the guy was, and there were a few sermons. There was one where a guy was just giving testimony, basically, this Christian guy who was like talking about like mystical things that was happening to him, including speaking in tongues and stuff. And I was kind of skeptical of the tongues thing. I'm like, how does that even work? How do they even figure out how to speak in tongues? But I mean, it's possible. People get like they channel things. I mean, I believe in channeling. It's not something that I don't believe in. So I'm not gonna say he wasn't speaking in tongues, and what even is tongues? I don't even know enough about it because all I know is that it sounds like a bunch of gibberish to me. But what language is it in? Like I don't know the specifics. Like it's like, yeah, if he's speaking in tongues, okay, great, but like, is he faking? Like, how do I know? That kind of thing, and yeah, like, and then that's where they tell you, oh well, if you don't know, then there's something wrong with you, then you're going to hell. You better either pretend to know, but then that you're going to hell anyway, but you don't want anyone else to know you're going to hell, so you have to fake it and suffer in silence, all that. I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole even then. And I just wanted like an honest, like um accurate kind of information about whether, spiritual stuff and that, about how true this was, that was, I just wanted an afterlife and like a happy ending for everyone. That's what we all want. When it gets down to it, when people do bad things, it's not because they don't want a happy ending. It's that they don't think it's possible, so they're settling. And because everybody has desires, and desires mean standards, and that, so nobody's just a creature of chaos totally. How could they even survive that way? Mm. Yeah, people throw, supposedly throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, but that itself is part of having standards, where they're trying to see what sticks, and they're trying to see, what standards they should have. So like it's not, chaos, it's not nonsense, it's not, oh, so and so doesn't have a soul, so and so has no feelings. That's just horrible. That's a way to ruin lives and to end lives and to control lives and to, it's not I mean, it perpetuates the cycle. It perpetuates the cycle of, abuse and horrible things that you're scared of those people doing, because then we're doing the same thing. And like, it perpetuates the cycle. But I'm going off on a tangent. It's a necessary one, but it's a tangent, and I'm glad I went off on it. But anyway, because like morality and religion does have a lot to do with each, I mean, not religion necessarily, but spirituality, like, is necessary for it. Like, and people try to deny that, but it's not we don't have to be like religious, like, people to, like, for like morality or anything like that. But like, I'm just saying, we have to have some spirituality, because we have to believe in, like, people, never losing their sentience in order to treat people like they're sentient beings, and in order for that, you have to have some spirituality. And everybody does, because how would, we even, how would anything even exist? How would we exist? How would we even function? It's not possible. So mm, so there was an experience, like, this guy was talking about speaking in tongues on a plane, and like experiences where, he just ran into people who, like, he knew that something would happen, and he just ran into somebody from like a total different part of the country, part of the United States, in this case. Even though I was in Canada when I was at that event, and he was talking about like how that was just meant to be by God, because of that. And well, I mean, everything's meant to be. It's I don't deny that part. I don't know, the tongues thing, how accurate it was, but it was interesting, and I was just praying it was kind of a true thing that he was saying, that it wasn't a cult, that he wasn't, leading people on, that he wasn't, you know, I was just praying that, like, it was true, and kind of hoping it was true, and wanting it to be true, but wanting it to make sense, like, so that there was standards or whatever, so that, nothing wasn't nonsense or anything like that. And then if it's nonsense, that means we can just be destroyed, and that's not no good either. Mm. I mean, it's not possible to, be a humane person and not believe in an afterlife, in my opinion. Because, like, how can you, look somebody in the face and tell them, yeah, like, yeah, you're just gonna be nothing after? I mean, that's not even accurate, let alone, humane, necessary, anything like that. So how can we, be a humane person and do that? So the idea that we don't need spirituality, or that it's like even the opposite of morality, is not accurate. Like, it's is that, like, because we need, reassurance, and without reassurance, then we're a mess. I mean, nobody is above needing reassurance. Nobody is above needing anybody, by the way, either. I mean, it's like, you need somebody to brag about how you, don't need anybody, apparently. Like, I just want to tell certain people that, oh yeah, you don't need anybody? Well, why do you need me to brag to about it then, And you need somebody in some way, nobody being an island, nobody being, an immaculate conception and all that, but mm, and I'm getting too into philosophy. I want to go more now into, what I was originally trying to talk about: religion, spirituality. So I was thinking, well, I was just so craving it, like, when I was a teenager, so craving it, and wanting to, um, have something to do with certain, friends of mine online who were religious, and I just wanted so badly to believe what they were believing. And it was kind of like I wasn't jealous, but I was jealous. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a wholesome jealousy, where I was wanting to, have not just the community, but the faith that they had. I wanted to have the reassurance they had. I wanted to have the security they had. I wanted to have the, you know, I don't know, like, the stimulation and excitement they had from it all. I wanted to have, the, like, confidence they had, from it all, and the, the making things happen, the motivation they got from it all. But I didn't want to believe it if it wasn't true. And in the end, I kind of had, a few arguments with a friend of mine who was religious from the South. And then a few of my other friends who didn't really believe in much, didn't really believe in anything, but were open minded and still wanted to believe in something like me. Like, eventually, I just more talked to them, and they were like the liberal types from New York. And then there was, a few years later, that's actually how how my ex, who was turned out to be abusive towards me and that, but like he was like trying to bond with me over that, and that was like, oh my god, he's the best friend I ever had at the time, because like he was bonding with me over something that, that was like everything to me kind of at the time, and that was, something that not many people I believe would believe me. At the same time, I wanted the whole world to believe me, was trying to get the whole world to believe me, blah blah blah. But he was he was like believing me, or supposedly, and I mean he actually did kind of believe it. Like he did believe it, but at the same time he was kind of weaponizing, my belief of it against me to like, make me out to be nuts and stuff in order to get our son. That's a whole other ball game that I'll get into later in some other video. But at the same time, he believed like some stuff that was even more nuts, and some of it, well, nuts by that standard, and some that was less. But and he would show me some books that he believed in. I mean that other people would find nuts too. So it's not like cut and dry. I mean, he showed me like Be Here Now by Ram Dass, and and I love that book actually. It was a very enlightening and reassuring book. I mean, for me, and it was even getting into like personal, issues that Ram Dass had in his youth and stuff like that, and how people can die peacefully and happily and excitedly, and all kinds of things that Elisabeth Kubler Ross also touches on, and like touches on other things that she doesn't touch on. She touches on other things he doesn't touch on, but it was just a very happy book for me when I needed it, because I needed it. Like, I mean, we all need it, like, sometimes. And then there was Grist for the Mill, and I read a bit of about that by Ram Dass. That was also given to me by him. He was like an abusive ex, but he was trying to like keep me to. I think he was just trying to keep me like wanting him, so he had to be nice to me and talk to me about things that meant something to me in order to but at the same time he was believing it, but at the same time he was kind of just trying to be Mr. Smarty Pants and like know everything kind of thing. So it really depends on like how he was feeling that day, really. And then there was that was after I had had a few revelations like myself over other stuff, like stuff that wasn't that made my other theory like proved it to be like not totally accurate, and sometimes just really toxic even, and because the truth is way better than that. Like it's actually way better news than that. The universe has standards even when we don't. So it's not, the universe isn't like us in that way, like all the time like that, So it's not that like everything's gonna be cruel and horrible all the time. I mean, that's just buying wholesale that everything is either nonsense or just cruel and horrible or something like that, or something bad. And that is actually people seem to think that people who think anything positive are stupid suckers when look at them, look at their life. They are so miserable. How is that not being a sucker? How is that, well, not being one, because nobody is, their whole identity being some mistake they made, but how is that not, falling for something when they are falling for something and it's not even making them happy? Like, like what kind of nonsense is that? And they think that we're the ones that are, full of shit and, totally not logical and whatever, and not, capable of like sound rational thought. Like what? I'm not like, it wasn't like the good stuff was a bunch of lies or anything. If they would just listen to the logic behind it, but they don't even pay attention. They just tune you out before you even start. So you have to wait, you have to feel it out, all that. And then the ones that do listen, they totally misinterpret you, sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident, sometimes naturally, just like where they don't mean to misinterpret you, but they think they know it all. And then others just they just misinterpret you. They don't think they know it all, but they misinterpret you. when you're trying to explain even the simplest things, and it's like, because it's not on their radar, they weren't taught, you know, they weren't allowed actually to think certain ways, and they were banned from and punished for thinking certain ways, where, including thinking for themselves a lot of the time. Same here. I mean, same thing was happening to me, various many times in my life, where people we get punished in society for thinking for ourselves, and it's just so sick. And and then we get, discredited for it, and we get, like, even, like, our lives ruined for it, and it's terrible. And Elisabeth Kubler Ross, I mean, people were trying to ruin her life over, believing in being a doctor and being a psychiatrist, yet believing in, things like fairies and things like, near death experiences, where, and out of body experiences, and, near death, like, awareness, where your, relatives are actually there, coming to get you, whatever, and, like, stuff like that. And, and, spirit guides, her spooks that, came to visit her and told her stuff about the universe and all that, and, channeling and stuff like that. And she believed in it all. And she, like, I wish that I had, been able to meet her, but she died before I even knew who she was. So, in 2004, when I was still struggling with a bunch, I could have really used her books if I had only known they existed. I should have just looked it up more, but I was too, into, like, everything else that was just going on in my life, and just trying to, make sense of it myself, because I didn't trust anybody else. But it's not about trusting everybody else. It's just about getting ideas, and you can reject them if you want. Like, it's not, but that didn't really occur to me then. I'm just like, I don't trust anybody. I have to figure it out myself, And, but Elisabeth Kubler Ross's books are, I mean, some of them, like, get blasted by people, but, that's just because they didn't resonate with them. That's fine. But, like, I just found so many of her books just brilliant. Like they'll, like, a lot of the time she doesn't explain, like, how it works, but sometimes she does. But when, and, like, that's, I guess, something that I want to do in my books, like, explain how I think things work, that way it at least proves to somebody. And, like, because, like, some people are just like, well, she's just spewing a bunch of drivel, like, about Elisabeth Kubler Ross's books. And I guess I just want to, like, help her out here. Like, sometimes I used to, like, not pray to her, but, like, just, like, try to communicate with her. I never, succeeded in that, but as far as I know anyway. But, because, like, I would think, oh, Elizabeth, please help me, like, I would be like, oh, please help me, make this difference, or, write this book, or, understand this, or whatever, or make somebody else understand this, or whatever. I would say, help me here, Elizabeth. I would be talking to her, because she was kind of like a spirit guide for me. Like, I wanted her to be. I don't know if she is, but I wanted her to be. And, I wanted her to, like, I don't know, I wanted some connection with her. Even though I'd never met her, and she died before I even knew who she was, and, all that. And then when I read her books, like, I read one of her books, it was just, okay, this is so great, I want to read them all. And then I read a few more with them. Me and my husband read them together, and, and, then, I have a few others that, are very important to me. There's one, I think I have it over here. No, I don't. But it's, I mean, there's a few compilations of, like, people's near-death experiences and what they got out of it. The logic that they gleaned from it, and the, just the everything they got out of it, the lessons they got from everything. And, it's not complicated. It is, but it isn't, and it's perfectly explainable, even if it's not, like, not everything is explainable in words, but, enough is where we can, get it. Where we can learn it from words sometimes. So, like, I mean, words help. They're an important tool. It's not something that we can just live without, or whatever. It's not something optional or anything like that. So, it's not like writing books is a waste of time or something like that. I mean, I got reached through a lot of books. And, like, I want to reach people, I guess, through the same way. Maybe I don't know any other way. Maybe I'm just closed-minded or something. Who knows? But, I just want, maybe it's more than, I mean, it is more than just talking and, like, listening. It's just also about just experiencing things. And I guess I just have a boring life where I don't experience much. I don't know. I mean, it depends on whose opinion it is, but I didn't want it to be this way, but like, I wanted to experience a lot more than I did, but and, like, I don't know. But I mean, I did in the end experience more than I thought I would, because all these mystical things that I um mystical things that I never thought I'd like experience, be lucky enough to be one of those people that experienced it, you know. And then I'm just like, oh wow, I'm so blessed. But everybody gets them, you know. It's just they don't realize it. They're not allowed to realize it by society. Society just like shames them for realizing it and makes them out to be, you know, nuts or liars or, you know, or just like not like, you know, thinking properly, not logical, not like even stupid, or, you know, makes them out to be gullible, like, you know, cult people, or like, you know, or even just somebody who's trying to take advantage of others, you know, a cult leader maybe, or a potential cult leader. And it's like, it's terrible. It's like, you know, just why don't you analyze it instead of, you know, judging others? Like, I shouldn't be so harsh, but like, I don't want to be harsh. I don't want to be scaring people away. That's like disgusting too. But I was just like, you know, expressing feelings. And mm, but uh there's one that I read by well, it was compiled by a David Sunfellow, and it's called like The Meaning of Life, as you know, something about near death experiences, but like, and it has about 100 stories in it, and like I really love that one. It's like one of the ones that I just like take everywhere. I should read it more often, like I did with Elisabeth Kubler Ross's book, The Wheel of Life, which is one that like was my Bible for a long time. I should just get another copy because the other one fell apart and I lost parts of it in here and there, and it's like, okay, like, you know, I need another one because like I need another hard copy because we read it online and everything, but I need another hard copy just to take with me, just to uplift me, you know. So I'm gonna get another hard copy of that, you know, because that was like a very good book. It was like probably maybe that was even her best one. I don't know, but because it just, you know, it has everything in it that like that's like the point of her whole, you know, mission and everything that she did this time around. And because she had other lives, you know, just like we did, you know, we all did and stuff. She had one where she knew Jesus Christ personally. Her name was Isabel back then, which is a form of Elizabeth actually. Sometimes we have the same name in like multiple lives. I mean, or similar sounding names, or similar meaning names, or similar, you know, you know what I mean. There were a few where, you know, somebody I knew was like John, various like versions of John in different languages in different like parts of the world in different lives. And there was somebody else I knew whose name kept, you know, sounding like Alyssa or Lisa. And then there was one person I knew whose name kept sounding with A. And then there was me. I had a few names, you know, where they were very similar, sometimes the same name, but in different languages, you know, but the same meaning in the same language. And there's different variants. And there were two where I was Elizabeth, or one where I was Elizabeth and one where I was Eliza. And then there was one where, you know, I was a Katerina, one where I was Catherine. And then there was one where I was Carolee, which kind of sounds the same. And then there was, you know, two where I had really similar sounding names, Radomira in one and Rectina in the other. And then there was, you know, others where I had other names and stuff. I mean, sometimes we don't have the same name at all, and other times we choose to have the same name, maybe to remind us, you know, maybe to, you know, remind us of a past life that we liked, or that we need to learn a lesson from, or whatever. I don't know really how that works, because sometimes they don't, you know, it's a totally different name the person has, but they tend to repeat themselves sometimes. Maybe it's just some of us that tend to repeat ourselves, like some of my soul family that, you know, because a lot of the people in my soul family end up having the same name in multiple lives sometimes, or, you know, variants of it, or, you know, other, you know, languages of it, whatever, but, or just names that sound like it. And, so that's an interesting thing, but I don't really know much about how that works. And, like, it probably isn't a way that it works. It's probably just, like, something that we choose to do, you know, to remind ourselves of whatever. It's probably not some sort of formula or anything. And, I'd say that, because, like, I mean, it's not, no, with religious experience, I might as well now talk about, you know, I might as well now talk about reincarnation a bit more, and might as well talk about it, like people that we were in past lives, like because I have a friend who was like has told me, you know, she and her ex were actually from a different planet in past lives, and you know, and then me and my husband have been animals in past lives, like way before we were people. Maybe I don't know if we were people before we were animals too, but there were times when we were animals. There were times when we were birds, bears. I don't know what else we were, but we were probably everything else. I don't know. I don't remember, but I mean, I kind of feel like at some point I was like a tree and some wheat at the same time. I know it sounds like crazy and weird, but like I don't know. And everything's sentient. Everything, has communities. Plants have communities. Plants are sentient. Trees, like, feel and think just like we do. It's just we don't know how it works. Like when we look at it, we don't see a brain, but it's got its own brain somewhere. It's got its own brain, in it, that we just don't know how it, works in, because it doesn't work in the same way ours does, but it still works. It's still a sentient being with, everything is still a sentient being with standards of, sentience, morality, of love. Everything is, everything moves. Motion is just a search for love, and it moves on some level, even if it's just supposedly standing still like a tree or something. Then it's kind of like it's moving within itself, and it's moving. Like kind of they kind of lean towards each other sometimes. Whatever. We do not need to be judging. Like. Mm, we do not need to be assuming, it doesn't help anybody to assume lack of sentience in anything or anyone. It does not help anybody. It's just something that's a negativity is depression. It's, not our fault but, so I shouldn't be, lecturing, but it's not our fault, but we can stop this. Like, I'm not saying we need to stop this because that makes it sound like we're a bunch of horrible criminal people, that just, are horrible and, that can't, learn unless we're, treated horribly. And that just doesn't help people learn at all. It does the opposite, but I don't know. I mean, I do know, like, a bit. Like, it's not like I know nothing and I'm just, like, blurting out stuff just to, waste your time. But, like, I mean, we all know something, right? So, but, it's just, how does pathologizing or, like, objectifying anybody or just, like, ignoring anybody to the point where, like, oh, let's just treat them like where it's like with the intent of treating somebody or like assuming somebody is not there. How does that help anybody? How does that even help you? Like how does that help anybody? I'm sorry, it does not. Even if we think it helps us, in some way makes us feel superior or whatever, like it's like for how long, and like when we get treated that way, and like why are we treating somebody that way? Can't we just feel like everybody is worthwhile and infinitely so? I mean, there's not a there's not a ration on, there shouldn't be a ration on, and there isn't like a shortage of love. Like, so why are we like we're trying to ration it? Like what? Like ration? Okay, who deserves it most? Who needs it most? Who? No. Everybody deserves and needs it equally anyway. And there's no shortage. So we don't even need to be picking names out of a container, even though that's like a, better than, saying who deserves it, who needs it, as though we're making judgments on people's value judgments on people. So, but we don't even need to be, rationing anything. It's infinite. Each of us is infinite. Everybody's infinite. It's not like we're, have to be rationing anything when it comes to love. It's not like that. And, but, um, what was I gonna say? It wasn't that important, whatever I was gonna say, but um, it's just something that I like to talk about and something that I know is necessary to talk about. But I guess I'll shut up here for now. But I'll continue some more, like in a different one where I'm talking about slightly different parts of spirituality, topics of it in that.